Welcome to the world premiere of the all-new GMC Hummer EV SUV. It's a highly anticipated vehicle, and in this video I'm going to show you all the coolest features, also show you how it compares to the Hummer EV truck, and of course talk about pricing, when it's going to be available, and all the details. Let's dig in. It's really cool to see it in person because we can get an idea about exactly how big this thing is. It is still a very big full-size SUV. The wheelbase is about 126 inches long, just a little bit under that. It's about 9 inches shorter, the wheelbase, than on the truck version of the Hummer EV. But still, this wheelbase is about 5 inches more than the current Chevy Tahoe. So that just kind of gives you an idea about the size. What you can see here is the Ultium chassis and platform that underpins the truck and now the new SUV. And it can actually vary in length, like I just described. And you can kind of see the battery structure. This particular mock-up or model here has 24 modules of batteries. They're double stacked. In the truck, the range is estimated at about 350 miles or just over that. In the SUV, there are 20 modules because it's a little bit shorter, slightly smaller battery space. And the range on the SUV in the Edition 1 form is estimated at just over 300 miles of total range. And this is with full four-wheel drive capability. When you walk up to the new Hummer, it can greet you in this way. Basically do a light sequence, and the styling of course is all new, and the front end style matches the one on the truck, but here of course you can see it in a different color. There'll be many different colors available eventually. And another really cool part about this is the design is very functional. As you can see in the front here, you can see the front tire and the approach angle. These kind of D-rings that are very kind of classic and I think harken back to the Hummer heritage. It looks really purposeful and also pretty nice, pretty luxurious. This is a demo of the charge indicator, so you can know exactly what the battery status is. And of course, if it's about half of these LEDs will light up, so you can kind of get an idea about your battery state. So if you're looking on the side of the SUV, the front A-pillar and the B-pillar and the both doors are basically the same as the truck, but then everything changes in the back. And here's the cargo compartment, and the spare tire is hanging on the rear swing gate. And I love this design feature. I think it's very purposeful. It also reminds you that this is a proper off-road vehicle as well as a luxury vehicle. And it also shows off these 22-inch wheels with a 35-inch tall tire. And of course the tires, at least on this model, this prototype here, are Goodyear Wrangler Territory all-terrains. Now let's talk about the chassis and of course the power. As you can tell from this display, it's four-corner independent suspension. In the back here, this is the rear end. In this case, for the Edition 1, it will have two electric motors in the rear. And they're basically sandwiched together. There is also a reduction gear in there. And altogether, the rear motor section plus the front motor for the front wheel drive, combined power on the Edition 1 is rated at 830 horsepower. So it's not quite as much as the 1000 horsepower as on the truck. But of course the SUV is a little bit smaller, it has a smaller battery. So hopefully it will weigh less, but we don't have the exact payload specs or weight specs or some of the towing specs yet. Right now I'm in the front of this chassis and I wanted to show you a few things. First of all, the drive shafts. They're very reinforced and very thick, as you can tell here. And also the shock suspension. It's equipped with air suspension, so you have adjustability anywhere from about 10.1 inches of ground clearance, which is already pretty good for an SUV, all the way to about 16, almost 16 inches of ground clearance in full height extract mode, they call it. Basically what that means is the suspension is all the way up and it becomes really stiff, but it also allows ability to get over an obstacle or maybe get unstuck. So that's a very important feature. And the Hummer SUV will also have four-wheel steering, so it will have crab mode, where you can kind of walk sideways around obstacles. You can also make a tighter turning radius. And you can kind of see the rear steering components right here, including the anti-sway bar and the way the rear suspension is set up. But basically what you're getting is just under 36 feet of tightest turning radius, which is pretty spectacular. That's way shorter than a Tahoe, and it's actually shorter than some passenger sedans. So here it is with the rear swing gate open all the way, and this unveils the cargo area. This vehicle currently is in its standard ride height, so kind of like the way it's going down the street. You can see kind of the lift over height for the cargo area is a little bit tall, but overall if you fold the rear seats down, it's just under 82 cubic feet of total cargo volume, which is pretty generous. I mean, that's very comparable to some other full-size SUVs out there. And also this rear glass on the door will be able to kind of slide down, and so you can get more air flowing through the vehicle. As you can see in this rear cargo floor area, this is still the same design theme, which is the moonscape, and you can kind of see some of the moon mountain scene right here in the back, and of course it follows in from the front. Moonscape once again, and a little footprint. This all-electric Hummer brand, it's kind of a moonshot for the company, they say, so yeah, the theme continues. The charger port is right here on the driver's side. It's a very similar location to where it is on the truck version of the Hummer EV. You'll be able to charge at different speeds, obviously. The quick charge capability is about 100 miles of range in between 10 and 12 minutes or so, they say. There will also be accessories, of course, many accessories, but also for charging. There'll be a kind of a cable with an extension where you can plug in stuff. And you can also charge another vehicle. Let's say you have a full battery, but your friend doesn't. You can help your friend out. Or you can also power some of your camping accessories or tools with about 3 kilowatts of output capability. Now this is very special. Getting behind the wheel here. Once again, with all the roof panels removed, there's a really spacious, airy feeling. There is a center bar that goes between here and here. There is 2 other panels, see-through panels, and also, of course, panels in the rear. So overall, a very open experience. That's very cool. And here in front of me are 2 giant screens. I got my gauge cluster right here. The steering wheel, obviously. The steering wheel controls right here on this prototype look very familiar. I got my phone and menu selections on the right. I've got my cruise control on the left. Also Supercruise capability, as you can see with this light bar in the front here. What Supercruise is basically a semi-autonomous driving mode. Up to about 200,000 miles of pre-mapped highways. The vehicle will be able to drive itself, but the driver has to pay attention still. Here in the center, gigantic infotainment screen, and here's my climate control settings, included heated seats, heated steering wheel, a lot of other features we're used to, and also some that I'm not used to. For example, this 3-dimensional pitch and roll inclinometer, which is very, very cool. I really like actually the animation. And GM and GMC is working with Perception, who do high precision graphics. So all of the animations and also real UI, the user interface, will be done in this fashion. You also have your auxiliary switches. There will be many, many accessories, of course, but I don't know yet if a winch will be one of them. We'll have to wait and see. Right here you can see the rear and front locking differentials. Of course, in the rear it's kind of they call a virtual differential, because they will have 2 motors, at least in the Edition 1. So you can control each motor independently and actually kind of have them spin at the same speed for a locker type feature. And the front locking differential is also available. The SUV will have also the watts to freedom mode, which is maximum acceleration capability. And they tell me that the whole vehicle will kind of transform as far as the user interface. The vehicle will lower It will prepare the drivetrain as far as motors and the batteries, and then it will be able to deliver the full 830 horsepower and get approximately 3.5-second acceleration times from the SUV. The truck, of course, as you know, probably will be capable of about 3-second acceleration in Watts to Freedom mode. But that's a special mode. It's not an everyday thing that you do at every traffic light. But still, I was talking to Scott, one of the engineers, and he said there's plenty of oomph from the system, no matter what mode you're in. This is what's cool about the roof panels. I can actually get in and kind of poke out and then sit down. Here I'm sitting behind myself, but this actually front seat is all the way back. And I'm just above 6'2". And of course, once again, this is a prototype. But still, quite a bit of space, especially with the roof panels removed. And this is a 5-person configuration. This is not a 3-row SUV. Here's a quick look at the truck version of the Hummer EV. And right here is kind of a little bit more off-road worthy wheel and tire package. This wheel right here is an 18-inch wheel, and this package will also be available on the SUV. And when the SUV goes on sale, this is going to be early 2023, so just under 2 years from now. It will also have this extreme off-road package available on the SUV as well. The pricing will start at about $105,000 for the Edition 1 SUV you see right there, and the off-road package will add a few $1,000s to that. And later on in 2023, they'll have other more affordable versions of the SUV, the 3X and the 2X. They also have a display here with a few other wheel and color and trim options that will be available. I really like this version of the wheel. I hope it makes it to production. Let me know in the comments below which wheel style is your favorite, the 22, the 18, or also this one. Well, there you have it, guys, the world premiere of the GMC Hummer EV SUV. Yes, it will be available in early 2023, so it's still a little bit away. Yes, it will start at about $105,000 for the most luxurious and option model. Eventually, they will start around $79,000 for the Hummer SUV 2X. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below, and as always, go back to tfltruck.com for all the latest news, views, and real-world, independent, and honest reviews. And also check out our TFL Off-Road channel, where I also go over some of the off-road tech on the Hummer EV. And also TFL Talk, where we do our podcasts, and that's where I have all of my interviews as well.